Welcome to episode 26 of the Luxury Travel Marketer podcast. I'm your host David, co-founder of Jadewolf Marketing. Today's topic is going to be all about native advertising and some of the potential applications in luxury travel. But before we get deep dive into the topic, first make sure that you go to jadewolfmarketing.com/newsletter, opt into a newsletter. We collect all these podcast episodes and our blog posts and whatever else we do in a bi-weekly newsletter. We have book recommendations, MarTech software recommendations, industry articles, everything that can make you a better luxury travel marketer, be it that you work in hospitality, yachting, travel agencies, private aviation, whatever it might be. Also, make sure to follow us on LinkedIn. We have a very nice LinkedIn page where we're very active. We are active profiles. You can add us. You can join a little group. We're building a little networking community right there. And just send us an email. Connect with us if you want to have a chat about if we can help your business. Request a strategy quote or fill out our contact form or use our live chat. There's tons of ways to get in touch with us if you're serious about luxury travel marketing. So let's dive into it, right? What is native advertising? Well, native advertising is called native advertising because it is perceived as being native to the digital environment it is found in, right? So imagine you go to a news website or a blog or anything that has a lot of different articles, a lot of interesting, topic-driven content. Usually, at least a certain percentage of that content nowadays will be sponsored content, will be native advertising of some sort, right? So if you imagine, that those 5 articles or 6 articles with the headlines on the main page of your favorite, luxury travel site, maybe like 3 of those are paid for, right? But they still embedded in the website in a way that it's not really obvious on the first look that they're paid for, right? That is really common already for a long time in print. In fashion magazines and stuff like that, you usually can buy advertorial deals, native advertising deals, where you buy a certain amount of advertising space and they will give you, for example, 1 or 2 articles or a top 10 list or something like that. And the same thing obviously exists in luxury travel, right? It's a no-brainer. So in the web, it will usually be, like articles that look like they are organic content that was just created for the usual visitors of the website or for the audience, but it's actually paid for and written in a way that it has a certain agenda, right? It's supposed to, create brand awareness or drive a certain thought leadership topic or create authority on your positioning in the market, or it's even has a CTA and has a direct kind of like call to action of to opt in somewhere, to buy something, to reserve something, to book a suite, whatever it might be. So, and this is also explains already basically a couple of the ways you can use native advertising. If you want to buy advertorials, if you want to get sponsored content placed on your favorite media sites. I'm not going to really get into how you buy those, with the exception of 2 tech platforms later, which are a little bit more broader and a little bit more dangerous. But if you want to be really specific with your luxury advertorials, with your luxury native advertising, use a direct media buying approach. Talk to sales reps from publishers. That's usually the best way to do it. Or maybe go the programmatic route if you really know what you're doing, right? Otherwise, refrain from it. It's an advanced technique. It's definitely something you can blow a lot of money on if you don't do it right, if your content isn't great. So it's not a technique I would recommend to startups or luxury travel marketers who maybe still trying to find their own style and their ropes, or trying to grow into their role. So if you want to have a brand marketing approach, and again, Jadewolf Marketing, we're specialized in direct marketing and funnels and driving traffic from affluent, media and converting that into high net worth bookings and leads. So brand marketing is definitely not what we focus on per se, because it's a very long-term thing. It involves things like public relations, influencers, social media, a lot of design, fancy things like movies, sponsorships, offline events. So that's not really our world. But if you want to use digital native advertising for brand marketing purposes, you should probably think about it in terms of brand awareness, right? Brand awareness being, you want to make sure that, for example, if you have a travel agency that is specialized in Iceland, let's say, right, a luxury travel agency that is specialized in Iceland, you want to make sure that the people that frequent certain travel magazines, certain blogs, certain outlets that have a reader base that is very high net worth and very discerning and really picky when it comes to travel providers, that you'd establish a brand reputation that, okay, if I want to book a really unique, great, wonderful trip and see the Aurora Borealis, see the geysers, see the landscape, I have to go through that particular Icelandic travel agency for luxury because they're the best. To do that, you can buy advertorials in certain markets. You can make the content all about like the beauty of Iceland, the great success stories of like celebrities that you did travel itineraries for, or you can use testimonials. You can write a lot about like the different kind of like partners you have in Iceland to plan your trips. There's a lot of cool things you can do with brand awareness. You don't need to sell anything with your content. You just need to place it in the right outlets, make it look like it's organic, but talk a lot about what really makes your particular travel agency great. And you can apply that concept obviously like to a private jet charter, to a yacht charter, to a hotel, unique luxury hotel, or even a franchise property, 5-star franchise property. It doesn't matter if you do it right. So that's the brand awareness angle, and obviously you need to spread that out, right? You need to do it on a bunch of sites. It's not enough if you do it just on a couple to drive traffic, because you really want to change the opinion that people have on your brand. So you need to do it on a lot of sites over time with frequency and in a relentless way, right? Because it's brand marketing, it's very long term. Then let's talk a little bit about direct marketing, which is what we do, what we specialize in. So in direct marketing, you want to find the right people, build your personas, then find the right people that can afford what you're selling, that are interested in luxury travel services, and then drive their clicks to your website, to your landing page, to your content that you've created for them exclusively, so they can convert into reservations and bookings, right? And it has to be a convenient, streamlined experience with not many barriers, so they can literally have the quality of a booking experience that's even better than Booking.com and all those OTA sites, but at the same time luxurious, personalized, and unique, if that makes sense. So it's all about reaching people in the awareness stage, doing native advertising for direct marketing. That means your content should obviously be about maybe travel inspiration, the top 10. If you're a big hotel company who has multiple hotels in a certain region, let's say China or let's say Southeast Asia, maybe you want to buy advertorials in magazines that have particularly a reader base, a fluent reader base that is interested in Asia travel, and there you could place multiple advertorials describing different resorts and saying the top 10 things to do, to have unique nature experiences, but with a little bit of a luxury copywriting angle to it. And you can do things like that to just reach people in the awareness stage if they're already maybe looking to book an Asia trip in that case, or maybe they thought about Southeast Asia, but they really weren't that decided yet. And that kind of article, that kind of advertorial, that type of native advertising can then, even though it's paid for, drive those people to your website through the links that are in those articles and the call to action, and act as what is called a funnel bridge, where the third party, where the organic looking content was found, the native advertising was found, provides trust and authority to your company once they land on your landing page, right? So it's really easy to capture people in the awareness stage and get them at least to opt in into your email list, request more information, check out your website, and get them this way into the consideration stage, where you can maybe remarket to them, where you can have email follow-ups, where you can have sales follow-up to nurture them so they eventually book with you, or they turn into at least into a solid lead. So that's how you should use it in direct marketing. I'm not going to talk in depth about how you should structure good advertorials for luxury travel for direct marketing purposes. Obviously there's certain things you should look out for. Again, like I mentioned already, the content should maybe be a little bit more specific about in relation to your products versus general area that you focus on. Maybe for a private jet company, it maybe should be a little bit about the benefits of your particular booking app that you have as a private jet charter, or your particular newest jet acquisition for your fleet and how luxurious it is and the routes that you cover, but written in an informative, entertaining way, not in a pure sales pitch way, with a call to action at the end. That's just a couple examples I can give you here right now. The next stage, if you want to go beyond, just placing advertorials strategically for a direct media buying approach on websites, outlets, blogs that cater to a wealthy, affluent reader base, you should look into content syndication at scale, right? Content syndication means a lot of impressions, a lot of eyeballs on your content, be it for brand marketing or direct marketing. And, there's basically tools out there, platforms that allow you, that will place your content in a native way on a lot of different websites, because they have a large partner network of media publishers. The two most famous ones are obviously Taboola and Outbrain, but beware, right? You really have to watch out. Those platforms are very special in the sense that they have a large media base, and in the beginning, they will show it to everybody, right? And then it's your responsibility as a smart travel marketer to eliminate step by step and blacklist media sources, publishers that you think are irrelevant. So, for example, if you are a private aviation company, you want to attract people for corporate travel, you have written a bunch of pieces, native advertising pieces, advertorials for, the new route that you're covering now with your fleet, some new international routes, some new VIP service that you have for frequent flyers that charter with you all the time. And now Taboola or Outbrain, right, they have slightly different approaches. Taboola has a more consultative selling approach, so they will ask you a little bit about the verticals that you want to cover, and they will try to preset your publishers a little bit better, while Outbrain is like a pure self-serving platform where you literally you have control, but it's going to be more broad in the beginning. But both essentially will start showing that content to a lot of people on a lot of different sites. But then you might see, okay, I don't really want that stuff to appear on a sports channel, on a sports site. That's not relevant to luxury travel. That's not relevant to they don't have a fluent reader base. But I might want to keep showing it on Wall Street Journal, right? Because that's another one of their media partners. So you switch off the sports channel, you keep Wall Street Journal going, or Forbes magazine, or whatever it is. And then, you just slowly every day you collect impressions, and you switch off publishers, and then you have a certain amount of publishers you can blacklist. But beyond that, you will have to show it to everybody. So it's a tool to get a lot of impressions, to get a lot of eyeballs, a lot of visibility, but it's not necessarily the most targeted tool in the box. That's why in terms of hierarchy, I would first start with different things. If you're building a new funnel, targeted direct media buys, working with influencers, working with specific apps, with specific platforms that have luxury, content and luxury visitors by default. Email lists that are, with millionaires and multimillionaires, things of that nature. And then I would go forward to maybe search, social media, maybe some ad buying platforms, programmatic buying platforms that have segments, third-party data providers that can, give you some access to wealthy spenders, wealthy travelers, frequent travelers. So there's a hierarchy to it. And only after checking all that stuff out, I would go for the native stuff and check out things like Taboola, Outbrain, or one of their other competitors, right? Because on myself, there's a ton of players in that space. Taboola and Outbrain are the biggest ones, but there's maybe one that is even more specific to your particular business model. So do your due diligence and do some research. But be aware that, it's going to be very, very broad in the beginning. You have to narrow it down over time. It's also very budget heavy. It's not something for small businesses. To get all those impressions, the CPMs can be relatively high. And it will take a while until you can nail down the selection of publishers that you want to kind of have. And another thing you really need to do if you want to do native advertising effectively is you need to, have remarketing set up. You need your Facebook pixel, your LinkedIn pixel, your search pixel, anything that allows you, your third-party remarketing tool pixel, anything that allows you to basically show the people that land on your website more ads, more content for a much cheaper CPM, cost per mile, or so your impression costs go down, because that will increase the likelihood that people who went to your website, clicked in your content, and stayed for a while actually return and convert. Because obviously you can do smart things with marketing where you only want to retarget the people that visited certain sites, that maybe stayed for a certain while on your website, and that way you can filter out the kind of like trashy traffic that you will partially generate with native advertising. So yeah, those are some basics. Just to repeat, try other stuff first. If you want to do native advertising, go the direct media buying approach. Once that is exhausted, you want more, look at those tools like Taboola, Outbrain, or other native advertising platforms. Make sure that they have already a network of publishers that would fit your goals, roughly at least. Be aware that it's going to be broad in the beginning. Have your remarketing set up, and then check that stuff daily and deselect, blacklist the publishers that you don't want your content to appear on. Because also you have to worry about your brand. This is luxury after all. You don't want to appear on a crafts and arts, do-it-yourself kind of website, because that just wouldn't make any sense if you're a 5-star luxury hotel, right? So it's a little bit of a dangerous move, but it can be interesting if you do it the right way and you have the right publishers there. Like I mentioned a couple of examples before. Yeah, and that's basically our short, sweet primer on native content. I hope you find that useful. Native content is something we, like I said, would employ for clients that have scaled quite a lot, had success with funnels and with their direct marketing, and want to explore something more, something bigger. They want to be everywhere. They want to be omnichannel. They want to be dominating the market. So that's something for those kind of businesses, right? Just to give you a little bit perspective. In the next episode, we actually going to do another one of our book reviews. We have done only 1 or 2 of those so far, and I want to do more of them, in addition to obviously having guests on this year as well. We haven't really gotten to doing a lot of outreach for that. So if you listen to this podcast, you think you might be an interesting guest for our audience, if you have something to say about marketing for luxury travel or luxury marketing in general, then please, by all means, use our contact form, contact us. We evaluate every request and give you feedback, no matter what the outcome is. And next week, we're going to basically do a review on Dan Kennedy's book called The No BS Guide to Marketing to the Affluent, which is, Dan Kennedy is a really great direct marketer. He has written a ton of marketing books. He's a veteran of the space. And this book in particular focusing on marketing, using direct marketing tactics to reach affluent buyers. It doesn't have a travel focus. It has a general luxury focus, high ticket focus. But a lot of the techniques are things we employ at Jadewolf Marketing, and we use, and the concepts is something that we use, maybe sometimes slightly altered for the digital space and for travel, but we definitely use it. And if you want to deep dive into kind of relearning more, especially about the baby boomer, the mature demographic, and what their consumption habits are in terms of luxury, what do they spend their money on, what are some of their emotional driving buying factors when they reward themselves with luxury services and products, then definitely check this book out. And we're gonna do a whole review of it. I'm gonna tell you what is in it, what it's all about, and what I like and what I dislike. So make sure to tune in next week if you're interested in that one. And yeah, make sure to subscribe. If you listen to this on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google, I know from our analytics we're getting a lot of listeners from people who use Apple products. So thanks to all you Apple lovers out there, and thanks for Apple for hosting our podcast. We highly appreciate it, all your listeners. And just subscribe, check out our content, subscribe to a newsletter if you're in business for some luxury travel marketing advice. And make sure to tune in next week. This is your host David signing off. Talk to you next week.